Hey, what's up YouTube? Here with another video, and today I'm here to rant about Avowed. This is a pretty impromptu video out of nowhere, but I just had to talk about this, right? Because there's a lot of hullabaloo about this game, about the positives and negatives, the backs and the forths. And I'm someone who scrolls on Reddit. I'll admit it. I peruse on Reddit sometimes, and because I'm into RPGs, I've been getting recommended the Avowed Reddit, and the Avowed Reddit is loving this game. And just looking through the that Reddit, I'm gonna say it. I feel like there's a lot of toxic positivity going on there, and there's a lot of things to be said about the writing because it's Obsidian and how good it is and blah blah blah. And this is supposed to be one of their strengths, and whether or not they succeeded in that, I don't think they did. I think immediately everything just feels so rushed and just inconsistent. Like you get to the first area, you meet Kai, and then you have a conversation, and all of a sudden he's just with you. Like there's no build up, there's no nothing. I can't say no to him. I can't tell him to not join me. If you come, a lot of people are coming to these sorts of games for the choice, the ability to, do things the way that they want and not the way everyone else, and not like a linear fashion. And this game seems pretty linear. So I thought, well, at least the gameplay's gonna be good, right? Like at least it's gonna be fun to level up my character. There's gonna be fun builds. And I start playing the game, and I'm hitting people, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is okay, this is pretty good. And then I level up, and what happens when you level up in any one of these types of games, right? After you level up, you look through the skill tree because you want to look through the skill tree to see, oh, like what am I gonna do? I'm trying to be a Dex bowman. What are the Dex bowman skills, right? And then you look at the skill trees in Avowed, and I just instantly get deflated because it's like, how can anyone get excited about trying to build their character over the most bare bones, surface level perk system in a game with so much gated progression and level gates and blah blah blah? And like, how is this fun to people, right? Anyway, let's just go through these perks one by one, right? Just to sort of feel them out. Let's see what, let's like theory craft what kind of builds we can give and make. I'm looking at it from the sense of like a Dex bowman, but we'll also look at the perks in general, right? So the ones on the left are generally like abilities, right? So these are like active things that you get when you reach the certain level threshold, and you can pick them or not. These are like the actual perks, right? So let's look at some of these. Armored Grease. Decrease the stamina penalty for medium and heavy armor by 15. Okay, I mean, I might be using medium heavy armor if I want to be a more defensive. I'm guessing there's light armor. If I'm a ranger Dex type, I'd probably stick with light armor. So, we'll see. This is a game where the armor can have very like unique effects to it. So I imagine the light armor is gonna fit more for my build. So not a bad perk, but not really for me. Shield Bash. Attacking while holding block slams you feel. Okay, the Shield Bash from Skyrim. That thing that's in Skyrim that you kind of just have at the start. You gotta level it up. You gotta spend a point to unlock it. It's not just something you have. Okay, a little weird, but whatever. Rank 2, increased stun. Rank 3, which you can only get if you're player level 5, increases the distance enemies are pushed back by the Shield Bash. Not a very interesting, progression to the Shield Bash. Like, how about after you hit an enemy with the Shield Bash, they take increased damage by 10%? How about if you hit an enemy with the Shield Bash, they move 50% slower, right? They like attack slower. If you hit an enemy with the Shield Bash, they have a chance of being knocked down, right? Like that seems more interesting than what we have going on with the Shield Bash here. But whatever. We'll move on. After taking damage, slowly regenerate 50% of the last amount of health loss. I mean, that's a pretty good perk. This is generally for like a fighter type class, but I could definitely see myself picking that up if I got some spare skill points. Increase your maximum health plus 20%, classic. Just plus 20%. That's a lot, so Power attacks with axes and great swords deal bleed accumulation. That's pretty interesting. Given a new utility to your power attacks besides just breaking the guard. Pretty good perk. Got no complaints about that perk. Leveling up just increases how good it is. Iron Fist unarmed attacks are fine quality and can break wooden barriers and explosive barrels. Yeah. Exceptional quality, superb. Okay, so basically you can go with an unarmed build with this perk tree. That's a little interesting because I've briefly looked through it. And I don't know any of like that many skills that's gonna have too much synergy with this, but still, you got an unarmed build. I would prefer like a whole unarmed tree, something like that. But they do take into consideration unarmed, which is nice. This skill, devastating criticals, might be one of the best skills in the game. Just critical hits with melee weapons deal 30% more damage just off rip. I mean, that's a pretty essential skill. I feel like any character in any build if you're using melee weapons, you're gonna want to take this perk. Like, I don't see why you wouldn't. It's almost too good in that sense. Definitely useful for a ranged dex, fighter like that. Increases damage with two-handed melee, just all two-handed melee weapons. Plus 25% more damage, Again, pretty good skill. Very simple, but pretty good skill. And then with this, combined with this, you can start to get a little bit of a specification going, right? Well, if I'm going to be doing axes and great swords, I'll get this and this. But if I'm doing axes and... Or if I'm doing maces and two-handed hammers, I'll do this and this, right? So this and that, so these three right here is, like you've already got like a little bit of like, decisions and like build making, right? It decreased stamina cost when blocking. Okay, I guess. Reflect, a perfectly timed block with the shield or wand reflects arrows and similar projectiles. This is a cool skill. Kind of bordering on the line of should just be a default thing that like you can do from the start of the game and not something that you're necessarily gonna get at level 15. Like I'm assuming that's gotta be like 60-70% of the way through. Now I can parry shields. Like it's a cool skill. It's also a little weird because Ranger has one similar. We'll go over that later. Retribute. By the way, these are level 15. These are like the it doesn't go down. It doesn't scroll down. Like these are supposed to, like, I feel like once you get to level 15, 20, these should be like the like coolest perks. Like, okay, like I'm in the end game. Like I've got some cool shit. I'm assuming these are pretty good, but the perks should be just as good. After taking damage from an enemy, your next attack within 5 seconds deals 70% of the original damage you received. This is a cool skill. This is a cool, interesting skill. You take damage, you deal more damage. I fuck with it. The final level 20 skill. Killing enemies restores 10% of your companion's maximum life. And then at level 21, it can revive them. So if you get a kill, you can revive your companion. I mean, that's probably pretty powerful because your companions can aggro enemies. They have abilities that do like set amounts of damage, it feels like. So I guess, more companion uptime is cool, but like as a level 20 perk for the fighter tree, you know what I mean? Like, I'm thinking like two-handed melee attacks have double increased attack speed, right? Or after you get a kill, you get like a frenzy effect, right? After you kill someone, you get an increased damage buff, increased attack speed buff. After you kill someone, you get increased attack range. Like, where is that? Where is that? Like, the level 20 perk is just, after I get a kill, I restore some life to my companions. Okay. But let's move on to the Ranger tree. The one that really disappointed me, right? Survivalist. Basically, healing shit heals you more. Fair enough. Parry. Again, another. This is something that, like, a time a perfect block against a melee attack to knock an enemy back and gain an immediate counterattack. Like, why is this something that I have to spend a perk point on? You know, like, this is something that's kind of going on in, like, certain action games too, where, like, they'll section off moves that you should probably just have behind the skill tree and then make it seem like, oh, like, look at all these skills we have, like, but you have to unlock the ability to dodge. You have to unlock the ability to perfect block. Like, why can't I just perfect block off rip? It's the same sense here. Like, a parry should just be like if it's gonna be in the game, I shouldn't have to unlock the ability to parry, especially if it's gonna be a level 1 skill point that 99% of people are gonna buy, right? If you're using a melee weapon and there's a parry in the game, probably gonna want to buy the parry, right? So it just seems a little pointless. Increased parry efficiency. Okay, more stun keys makes the parry better, but, like, again, like, where's, like, after a parry you get increased damage, after a parry you get increased attack speed, movement speed, after a parry, I don't know, status effects, like, I don't know, like, something more interesting than just dealing greater stun damage. Steady aim. Holding your power attacks with the bow or gun slows time by 25%. I guess. I see. This is a skill that I would probably avoid this skill because I don't want to slow down time. That's just, I'd rather not have that. Reduce stamina cost of dodging by 25%. Okay. I guess, like, yeah, like that's pretty useful. I can't be mad at it. Sure, I guess, but, like, it's just like an all general purpose skill. You know what I mean? Power attacks with daggers, swords, and spears deal 25% more damage. Again, just more damage, just more, again, here, more, 25% more damage, 25% more damage. Skyrim has perks like these, right? That's like the level 1 thing, is like, and like at like the beginning of, like, the one-handed skill tree is like more damage. And as you level it up, you can go back to it and level it up more. But that's like, but there's like a whole thing though, like like it, like, expands outward, like that's not the most interesting thing of the skill tree. Whereas these, I feel like the most interesting, meaningful things in the skill tree is just raw stat increases, raw flat 25% more this, 25% more that. I mean, there's a little bit of something going on here between stunning blows, bleeding cuts, brawn, I guess. But, like, also, why is there reflect? Perfectly timed block with the shooter wand reflects arrows and similar projectors back at the attacker. And then ranger. Oh, okay. This one sends them back. This one doesn't. But, like, why? Why? Like, I guess it makes sense, the one with the shield, you send it back to him. The one without the shield is just a parry. But, like, why is that not just in the game? Like, why does the shield, when you deflect arrows, it sends it back at them? And that's a benefit of the shield. And when you don't have a shield, it doesn't. Like, why are these level 10 and level 15 skills? Guns in your inactive... Oh, increases your equip speed by 50%. Okay, so, like, switching between your, like, loadouts quicker. I mean, that'd be pretty useful. Like, if I'm switching between ranged and melee, that's pretty cool. And guns in your inactive loadout reload automatically after 3 seconds. That's cool. So, like, you shoot the gun, switch to melee for a little bit, and then you switch back and you don't have to reload. That's... More stuff like that should be in the game. But why is this only with the gun? Like, why is there not, like, an equivalent of this with the bows? Why is there not, when the bow is inactive for 3 seconds, increased damage by 20%? I don't know, something. Like, why is the gun the only one that gets the unique, utility skill? Increased damage with bows and guns. Just raw damage. Unlock scavenger. Crafting upgrade materials cost 25%. I think this is a lot less of a problem now, the upgrades and materials problem, than when the game first came out. It seems like they sort of reworked it a bit. So I don't know how useful this is. And now also perks like this are weird because as you can see right here, you can just reset your skill points whenever. And it already seems like it's going to be pretty cheap. So like what's stopping me from getting this perk point before I upgrade my shit and then respecking back to my regular class? Nothing is stopping me from doing that. And that's kind of cool, but also not really, right? Increases your critical hit chance by 10%. Fair enough. But again, just, okay, more of this, more of this, more of that, more of this. Like, just more raw, flat increases. 25% critical hit chance. I mean, I'll take it. But this is also the level 15. I'm not getting this till level 15. Like, this is what I'm saying. Like, the most interesting end game perks are like shit that like in like a lot of games would just be like a random modifier on like a weapon. Like, what are we doing? Unlock sniper. Increase range damage against unaware enemies. But see, this was what pissed me off. Because I thought, oh, like RPG, fantasy, builds, weapon, I'm going to be able to do a ranged stealth sniper, right? But the ranged stealth sniper perk I can't unlock until level 15. And it's just increased range against 25%. Not times 2, not times 4, not times 8, not times 16, just 25%, 35%, 40%. Okay. Power attacks with bows and guns deal 40% stun. I mean, I guess, like, I'm not really a big fan of the stun feature. Like, I'm not, oh, I can't wait to get the stun. Like, I'm not looking for the stun gauge to be full. I'm just hitting them. And if the stun gauge happens to be filled, I mean, I'll do the attack. But, like, that's pretty much it. Again, this being the level 20 skill. The level 20 skill. Just more stun gauge buildup. Okay, like, where is the cool shit? Where is it? Where is, like, after a critical hit, fucking arrows have a chance to ricochet off and, like, something. After a critical hit, again, increased attack speed, damage. After a critical hit, fucking, I don't know. Maybe after you get a sneak kill, the next sneak kill is more damage. So, like, you can get a chain going easier. Oh, like, you get what I'm saying? Like, where is the cool shit? It's all boring as fuck. Skyrim in 2011, Fallout in 2008-9 had more interesting perks and skills than this. Let's look at the wizard tree. Now, I've looked at the wizard tree, and the wizard tree, I swear to God, almost made me wanna play through the game to see, like, maybe the wizard tree is like the one saving grace. Cause I'm telling you right now, this shit is boring. This shit is ass. Like, there is barely quote unquote build potential. Like, how many people who use melee are not gonna get this? Right? How many people are not gonna get this or not gonna get this? Right? I mean, some of them might combine them differently, get them at different points in time, I guess. But, like, does this seem like interesting build theory crafting to you? Or does this just seem very surface level? But the wizard tree, right? We get shit like decreases the essence penalty for light and medium armor by 15%. Essence is how you use your magic pretty much. So, I mean, a way to get more of that, not that bad, right? You got the typical fire, ice, electric, corrosive. You got this skill, summons a staff of negative energy for 30 seconds that restores essence to the wielder with every strike. So if you're running out of essence, you got an active skill to start hitting people to get more essence. Okay, I like that. Arcane Veil. shield, you know, like kind of like a fucking ward, you know, arcane shield. Makes your spell casting uninterruptible and increases damage reduction by 50%. Are you kidding me? This is level 1. Uninterruptible and increases damage reduction by 50%. Level 1. Meanwhile, level 20 for the ranger perk plus 40% stun. Level 20 for the fighter perk, more health for the companion after a kill. Okay. Basically, right, you can spec down Blizzard, Fireball, Crackling Bolt, and like you know, Crackling Bolt, the lightning spell change between people. Fireball is more like, you know, just raw damage over time. You know, Blizzard, you freeze people. You know, like all the typical shit. You got casters surrounded by the protective frost. You know, damage reduction deals frost accumulation to enemy melee attackers. You know, maybe I can combine this with this arcane veil, bristling frost. Okay, Grimoire snap. Snap your Grimoire shut, expelling a shockwave of explosive damage. It knocks enemies back and deals stun. Okay. Blast of Frost. Okay. Ring of Fire. Okay, so there's a fire and an ice protect. Okay. Spirit Lance. Summons a magical spear for 30 seconds that releases explosive damage around each successful hit. Okay, so like you can like get yourself melee moves on top of like different utility moves on top of different damaging moves. Okay, this is interesting. What do the level 15 skills look like? Freezing Pillar drives a large pillar of frigid ice into the ground, dealing damage and high frost accumulation to nearby enemies. Summons a magical. Okay. Avoid. Oh, these are. Whoa. These are cool skills. And these are just the perks, right? Like the perks are actual like abilities, right? This isn't even increase wand damage, bounce, power attacks with wands, bounce into my enemies. Okay, blast, power attacks with wands, explode on him. Oh, wow, blood magic. When essence is depleted, you. Wow. This is a good perk tree, right? It's a little simple. It's a little bare bones, but like I feel like every level, you know, every 5 levels, I got something to look forward to. There's something interesting. Okay. What? Meteor shower. Wow. Meteor shower. I mean, again, like a lot of this stuff is like very like, of course, the super ultra skill for the mage is meteor shower, of course, right? But this is a good perk tree. These two should be more like this one. They really should. If there's anything to take away from this video, if you're gonna play Avowed, be a wizard. Be a mage, use wands, use grimoires. Cause ranger and fighter, holy moly, what a sad excuse of a skill tree. Seriously. I mean, who knows, maybe some of this godlike shit will fucking reinvent the wheel. I doubt it. I really do. The companions, they have their own like skill system, you know, like they can get new skills, you can upgrade them, but like who cares? I don't even want this guy on my team. Like if I had the option to say go somewhere, I would. Like at least in Outer Worlds you could be like, hey, I don't want no companions, and then there was a perk called like Lone Wanderer to where like, you know, you get bonus effects and more carry rate to like compensate for the fact that you don't have a companion. Where is that? Where is that? Where is the general skill tree, right? Like some of these skills in Ranger and Fighter, maybe even Wizard, if I look deep enough, maybe Godlike, there should be another one called Core. You know, Core, General, something like Godlike, where it's like it's more like obtuse, to where like you can get like more general stuff that you can combine with the more specific nuance stuff, right? Like if there was a core one on top of removing a lot of this fluff and making these more interesting perks, plus how the wizard perk tree like genuinely already is, they're cooking something here. They got something here. But right now, like I got to level 2 and leveled up, looked at the skill tree and was like, wow, this is boring. And I never went back. And then I looked on the Reddit And then I just see everyone just so happy, jubilated about the gameplay of this game. And it blows my mind. It genuinely blows my mind. But, I was going to end it here. But I think I'm going to, just to really hammer the home point, we're going to do one last thing. Okay, so here we are. Game of the Year 2025. KCD2, right? And let's just very briefly look through the skills and perks in this game, right? We're not going to read all of them. We're not going to, but very quickly you'll see what an actual in-depth perk and leveling system looks like that gives you interesting choices and variety to actually warrant maybe even replaying the game a second time. So first of all, right, you have your core stats, which all have different stuff. Some of these are like your character, so like carry weight, but some of these are for combat, right? So blunt damage of all melee weapons increased by 5%. I know I was just shitting on Avowed for flat percent damage buffs, and then the first skill we go over is a flat percent damage buff, but trust me, this is there's very few of these, right? The flat increases is fine, but they need to be more spread out and very much more separated and not so like broad, right? Because this is one skill tree. This is strength. This isn't agility, which also has stuff for combat, right? Finesse, right? This isn't vitality, which doesn't really have much, which also has some stuff for combat, right? Speech is obviously speech, but even this has stuff that you can use for combat, right? Like battle cry during a fight, they have a chance to flee. And then where is it? Battle cry, you do more damage after you do the battle cry, right? There's damage stuff in speech. There's also the main level. There's skills for the main level. Some of these are for combat. I'm focusing on combat because like that's what Avowed is pretty much focusing on, right? This game also has plenty of skills that help you in the open world with skill checks and other shit and carry weight and blah blah blah. But let's mainly look at so there's heavy weapons, pole arms, and swords. In Avowed, like heavy weapons and pole arms would probably be the same thing. You get what I'm saying? Because like these would these would all fall under like heavy weapons. But in this thing, like not only is swords, heavy weapons, and pole arms different weapons, but then warfare is also a skill tree, which is just general like all around like just combat perks, right? So you have the warfare perk tree alongside swords, right? Alongside, if you want, heavy weapons and pole arms. If you want unarmed, which is its own skill tree, or you can combine that with marksman to get some range going, right? Not even to mention stealth, right? Also has stuff for combat. You get what I'm saying? Like, I think the perk system and skill tree, like, because this game is trying to be more grounded and it's trying to be more immersive, and like it is a very well written game, and you're caring about like the characters and like the story a lot more than like in like a game like Skyrim. I think it could get away with not having the greatest leveling and perk system, but I think it's still very great. I think the only knock you could put against it is there isn't anything crazy. You know what I mean? Like I'm saying, like there isn't like, oh, like I don't know, like decapitation. Like you don't unlock a skill to decapitate enemies, and then after you decapitate them, everyone gets scared and like run away. Like that's probably how a skill like that would work in this game. Like there's nothing like that, right? But a lot of the max level skills feel pretty meaningful, right? Like the max level for Thief, you can unlock simple locks almost instantly without the need for a minigame or committing a crime. Pretty useful, because as you level up your thievery and sneak, the tiers of the locks will go down. So stuff that was hard will become normal, stuff that was normal will become easy. So you will be able to just open shit. Stealth. One of the final skills is the tried and true ambusher. Hitting a target unaware of you will do 20% more damage, you know? Even though this is a pretty simple skill in Skyrim for a game like this being like one of the final skills for the stealth tree makes perfect sense. And it feels rewarding to get to the level 18 in stealth and get this skill. I'm not gonna harp on it too much. You get the idea. I'm not trying to just shit on Avowed because I hate on Avowed. I just feel like when people criticize that game, they're not criticizing it for no reason, right? They're not all, people aren't just criticizing it because they're woke. You know, people aren't just criticizing it because it's a cool thing to do. People are probably criticizing it because it's kind of a mid game, and it's an RPG with not the best writing, and it's an RPG with not the best build progression and leveling up and perks. I think it's fun to hit things. You know, the effects are kind of cool. It looked like the magic skill tree was pretty interesting. But all in all, it's a very inconsistent experience. Not to mention it's on Game Pass. So people are going to be more willing to put it to the side a lot easier. I booted it up on Game Pass, played it for an hour, realized it's mid. Alright, bet. I'm back to KCD too. And I'm sure that's how most people feel, whether or not it's KCD, some other game, Marvel Rivals. You gotta understand, these people gotta do better. Especially Obsidian, because they make great games. I think Outer Worlds had way better writing, way more choice and consequence. Still had a pretty middling perk system, but at least I beat that game. Avowed? Shit's mid. Shit is mid. But that's it. That's the video. And thank you for watching.